Hey, 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 happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. Tonight is Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. This is live stream 751. If this is your first time joining me, let me point out, super casual, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news and taking a peek at a game. How this works, how it operates. So, of course, first we tackle the news and then we jump into a first look. So, if you're watching live, that means you got to kick back, relax for about 30 minutes, and then we will dive on into the unboxing and first look. And tonight is a Wargame Wednesday. So we are going to be taking a peek at The Last 100 Yards, the Solomon Islands from GMT Games. If you're watching this video 30 minutes or more after the stream has ended, there will be timestamps. If you don't want to watch the news, you can jump right ahead and check out the unboxing. I mention this because I'm super tired of morons out there commenting, oh, you had to wait 40 minutes until, you did the first look. Don't you know what titles mean? Yeah, the title is First Look at XYZ Game on the Gaming Gang episode number whatever. In the title, it says the Gaming Gang Dispatch in the title. So it's telling you that this is a show, and part of that show is going to be an unboxing or a first look, a page through, maybe even a review. It's like every week I get like at least one dipshit. I can't believe I had to sit 25 minutes watching your video. Did you not look at the show notes? Timestamps. Did you not actually look at the timeline of the video? Timestamps. So I'm just saying this because from here on out, usually I just leave the comment there and point out, hey, you do realize that this is a show, right? This is not just, hey, this video is about whatever. So from now on, I'm just going to delete the comments. But I did kind of take somebody out to the woodshed today because it's same stupid thing. Don't you know what a title is? I had to wait 40 minutes to see. I want to, off the top of my head, I think it's the Tiny Epic Dungeons unboxing. Then you had to wait 40 minutes. No, you didn't, stupid. You could have clicked on a timestamp and gone right to it. I have a t-shirt that, unfortunately, it's a little worn out. So, I don't get to wear it as much as I used to. I should probably order another. And it says, I can explain it to you. I can't understand it for you. That's kind of how it works. Don't worry, I'm not salty or anything today. I'm just pointing this out. And you know what? On that episode, I think I did the same thing because I try on every show to open up and by saying, hey, we're going to, take a look at the tabletop news of the day. It's going to be 25, 30 minutes, whatever. you check out this video after the stream ends, there's timestamps. I say it all the time. Once again, can't help you. I can't help you understand it. I can explain it. I can't understand it for you. Anyway, should also mention that when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. Also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming first look at Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Uber's Lake Adventures Volume 2 from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. So that is on the horizon. Got a lot of videos, a lot of goodies. We got some reviews from my variety of correspondence also on the horizon as well. I should mention also that I'm really looking for somebody who is a big fan of Starfinder who would be interested in reviewing Starfinder stuff. So do want to mention that as well. Lastly, this is a live stream, so that means there's chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. Plus, you must be a subscriber for at least 48 hours before taking part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, at least in chat. The unusual commenters on the video don't really have much of a way to keep them at bay. But still. If you want to say howdy, if you got a question, a comment, by all means, please chime in. I will do my best to respond. So far, first out the gate tonight was the Motor City Madman. That's right. The Madman is with us, wishing everybody a happy hump day. Of course, the Madman is one of our chat moderators, so don't get out of line. Doug Roberts is with us, and Callahan Klatt. Beat Cafe. All right, good deal. We haven't seen Beat Cafe in a while. Good to see a Beat Cafe. And Flaming Huron is here. Flaming Huron's also a chat moderator. We've got two. And Flaming Huron says, reading's hard. Math is hard. It's not even really reading. It just says, just look at the goddamn timeline of this video. It's right in front of you. Then you see it broken up into little chunks. If you're not watching live, if you're watching live, there's nothing I can do for you. But Madman says they have a Deadpool T-shirt that says "Shh, no one cares." Doug Roberts is like, give him hell, Jeff. I won't even get into some of the hate that I receive. I can't imagine being one of these YouTube celebrities who, gets a lot of, like, tons of views. My God. If what the shit they have to deal with from people, it's like, multiplied, the pains in the ass that I run across from time to time, not always. But I mean, there are some people who say some pretty hateful things, and I just delete those. I'm like, I'm not even going to bother with this. But multiply that by like 1 million. It's like, oh my God. I would just be like, you know what? Don't bother commenting because I don't read them. All right, let's see who else we had in chat. Reef Arkand. I'm sure I mispronounced that. Is with us in chat. I got to say that I believe this is their first visit, so welcome aboard. Make yourself at home. Flaming Huron says, at least you aren't getting death threats, hopefully. I not death threats, but I have had people threaten me that, if they saw me at like Gen Con or Origins or something, they were going to punch me. It's like, for what? For a fucking game review? Give me a break. It's like, delete. Actually, it's usually the emails. The emails are usually where all the really bizarre shit arrives. It's usually not comments, because that's tied into somebody's Google account. Although you can create a burner account easily enough. But yeah, it's usually I get emails from time to time. It doesn't happen a lot, because if it happened a lot, I'd be like, I don't even have chat. There's no chat. It's me doing my thing, which would suck. That'd be super boring. But yeah, some of the stuff I get in emails, and it's usually from people who have like Hotmail email accounts, AOL.com. It's like, oh yeah, cutting edge tech there, folks. Reef says, yeah, hey, it's their first time visiting, but they are a long time subscriber. Very cool. Sweet. Sweet. There was some talk about the ban hammer having to be used yesterday. Yes, it was pretty wild. I didn't see the comment at all. And then it was deleted and they got the boot. So I guess it was just a spammer hanging out. Doug says Flaming Heron's carrying a big old pipe wrench. All righty. Let's jump on into the news. And then after the news, I will talk a little bit about yesterday's giveaway, the role-playing game giveaway that there are quite a few people watching live. And you might be curious at what the most popular choice of the role-playing game PDFs was. But first, let's pop on into the news, because arriving soon from Nuts Publishing is This War Without an Enemy. Here's what I know. This War Without an Enemy is a 2-player strategic block war game. The game centers on the First English Civil War, when the Royalist forces fighting for King Charles I were opposed by the English parliamentarian troops and their Scottish allies, the Covenanters? I'm not familiar with that. The Covenanters, in a struggle for political, economic, and religious control of England. Game engine will be familiar to anyone who's played a card-driven block war game, but it adds a number of innovations in order to faithfully simulate both the warfare of the mid-17th century and the unique nature of this conflict that engulfed not only England, but also Scotland and Ireland. The game features individual cards. I think it's supposed to be card decks, not cards deck. This is a French company, so little localization here. Yes, the game features individual card decks for each side, 2/3 of which contain events. The card decks are adjusted from year to year to reflect the historical progression of the war. The regional nature of much of the conflict is recreated using a system of leader and regional blocks, as well as rules for regionally based recruitment. The usual block game mechanics for field battles have been modified with special rules for artillery, cavalry, and infantry, while a completely new system has been designed for storming and sieges. The object of the game is to acquire victory points through the capture of cities held by the opponent. In addition, the parliamentarians can move closer to victory by capturing the king, represented by his own block. 5 scenarios are included: the full war, up to 26 turns; the early war, which is an introductory scenario of 8 turns; the mid to late war, which is up to 18 turns; the mid war, which is an introductory scenario of 6 turns; and prelude to war, which could be up to 27 turns. This war, I should say, without an enemy, is for 2 players, ages 12 and up, plays in 1 to 4 hours, depending on the scenario you decide to play, and it's going to carry an MSRP of $72 when it arrives next month. This looks sort of intriguing. I have never actually checked out a game from Nuts Publishing. I know that they tend to release a lot of war games from other publishers into the European market. I believe they are, I want to say that they release games that are translated into French. So you tend to see that. And then they do their own games. And This War Without an Enemy is one of their own game releases. I got to say, I'm a fan of the Columbia Games block game, Richard the Third. I want to say it's Richard the Third. Or is it Richard the Second? I always forget the Richards. So I'm not too shabby on my Henrys, but the Richards kind of throw me off a little bit. Anyway, once again, this is coming out next month, carrying an MSRP of $72. This April is going to bring the Dungeons and Dragons Icons of the Realms Waterdeep Dragon Heist box sets. Say that 5 times fast from Wiz Kids. Here's the scoop. A grand urban caper awaits you. Pit your skill in bravado against villains the likes of which you've never faced before. And let the dragon hunt begin. Within this box, you will find some of Waterdeep's most terrifying foes, as well as some of its legendary foes and heroes. Excite your players with these collections of highly detailed miniatures and start building your own legendary story today. The first set is going to come with miniatures representing, and I'm going to get all of these names wrong. They're fantasy names. Don't freak out. Oh my God, I can't believe Jeff got that completely fictional character's name absolutely incorrect. Oranax, Nealur, Xanathar, yeah, I know how to pronounce Xanathar, Silgar, Victoro Castellanter, Amalia Castellanter, Jaraxel Benray. See, I don't know the last name. I know it's Jarl Axel. And Manchun. The second set features Nimblewright, Saith Cromley, Barnabas Blastwind, Erstal Floxen, a Drow gunslinger, Yalla Growlhund, and Orund Growlhund. Each of these boxes contains 7 miniatures, if you were counting as I was telling you the names. Each are going to carry an MSRP of $49.99 when they arrive in April. So the Madman's asking if there's magical rings on some of Xanathar's eye stalks. Should be swinging by around here in just a second. I do get a kick out of how they've got his little fish, whose name completely escapes me. But if you look dead center, you notice there's a bowl. Well, it's not really a bowl. It's an enclosed globe. And his little fish is in there. I wish I had some sort of relationship with Wiz Kids. I've done interviews with them at like Origins, because usually they're not at Gen Con. Not in the same capacity as they are at Origins. And I don't know, just never, it's like do interviews and just never can get on board to check out any reviews. I've mentioned this before. I don't know if things have changed, but their policy was, if they come out with a release, they put 5 of those on the side for reviewers, and that's it. And I understand that. I got nothing against Wiz Kids. Wiz Kids has never promised me anything they didn't deliver on. They've just never delivered on anything. They didn't offer me anything. But I like their minis. These look like these are the deep cuts as well. Aha! So Silgar is the fish's name. Okay. So they had mentioned that in the cell sheet info. There's Silgar again with Xanathar. And yes, there are magic rings on the eye stalks. You notice that? Yes. So Doug's asking, is that Morticia Adams from the Adams family? I know. Does look kind of similar, right? Except the hair is a little bit different. It's not sculpted the way you always see Morticia Adams' hair sculpted. 245 Trioxins joined us in chat. Good to see you, 245. All right. So thought I'd share some miniatures news with you, and these look pretty good. These look pretty cool. These are only 5 of the 14 that are available, but you can go online and actually see the rest. A lot of them are humans, so I just kind of skipped that. All right. There is currently a bundle of holding which features a slew of system agnostic Goodman Games goodies. Here's the deets on the deal. Adventura. We've resurrected our August 2019 Goodman Games Gems bundle that assembles the crown jewels of Goodman Games, the Dungeon Alphabet, and other system neutral supplements and source books for fantasy tabletop role playing games. Entertaining and inspirational, these key works of the old school revival enhance any fantasy campaign with new character backgrounds, locations, setting elements, monsters, a year-long calendar, and 3 alphabetic compendia that help you rethink your OSR games at a fundamental level. For just $9.95, you get all 4 titles in this revived offers starter collection with a retail value of $37 as DRM free PDFs, including the Adventurer's Almanac, a calendar of events to fill your campaign world's year, the handy DM campaign tracker, and 2 collections of tips and tricks for players and game masters. PC Spurls? Spurls. Yeah, Spurls is a word. Yep, that's English. Spurls. Yeah, PC Spurls. PC Pearls and GM Gems. And that Spurls book, don't miss out on the Spurls book. It's supposed to be really phenomenal. 5 stars. And if you pay more than the current threshold price of $25.85, which has probably changed by now, you'll level up and also get this Revival's entire bonus collection with 5 more source books worth an additional $57, including the famous Dungeon Alphabet, along with its sequel, the Monster Alphabet, the popular treatise How to Write Adventure Modules That Don't Suck, and 2 source books newly added to this revival, the Cthulhu Alphabet, a similar ABCdarian treatise of Lovecraftian adventures, and 50 fantastic functions for the D50. Delightful collection of tables and mechanics for every gamer's ever handy game science 50-sided die, which I do not own, and a vast majority of gamers do not own a 50-sided die either. These savings do run through February 18th, 10% of your payment after payment gateway fees. For this offer will be donated to the charity designated by Joseph Goodman, the San Francisco Marin Food Bank. There you go. There you go. I'm kind of curious, though. Are all of these geared towards the OSR? Because I did not think they were. I don't think the Adventurer's Almanac and the PC Pearls and DM Gems or GM Gems, I don't think those are specifically geared towards the OSR, but I could be absolutely wrong. Could be completely wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Perkins Dearborn is with us in chat. Welcome back. Good to see you. So Flaming Heron says, yeah, some people still think they can act dumb and not die in Call of Cthulhu. Yeah. Badman says, Cthulhu Alphabet, T is for total party kill. Could be. I would say T is probably for tentacle. That's my guess. moving right along. Now available from author Amanda Lee Frank and Exalted Funeral is the OSR-styled adventure Vampire Cruise. Here's what I know. Luxury, death, trip. You heard stories the ship was dredged from the seafloor. They had to clear out buckets of drowned fish before building staterooms. Stories about the captain who's never seen before midnight and the unsettling shape of the boxes that were loaded into the darkness of the lower decks. The crowd waiting to embark doesn't seem worried, though. And before you know it, you're relaxing by the pool, ocean sparkling all around, and you're not worried either. Until breakfast, when you share a table with the woman who told you all the rumors. Now she's wearing a white silk robe and handing out pamphlets that say, "Is death real?" on the cover. And then you can't find your aunt, and you wake up woozy in your cabin, clutching a note you don't remember writing that says, "Deck 13 at noon, bring something sharp." On the other hand, there's a ping pong tournament. Vampire Cruise, a supposedly fun thing you'll have to do for eternity. Vampire Cruise is a rules-light OSR-style adventure vacation for Zine Quest. It's 40 pages of maps, mummies, mutiny, and every kind of vampire. Why are there mummies in it? I'm kind of curious. This 40-page zine and PDF are available together over at Exalted Funeral for $15. There are actually quite a few new releases over at Exalted Funeral. A lot of them are for Mukbang, or as those not in the know call it, Morkborg, which we've discussed that at length. The art punk scene doesn't necessarily mean a good adventure. Usually doesn't. But this is not a release. So I'm taking a guess. This is probably BX. I'm taking a stab. This probably fits in very nicely with BX. Perkins says, "I'm just reading the necro poetry. What could go wrong?" Good evening, said Vlad. Callahan says, "I still remember the time an investigator tried to fist fight a serpent person. It's fine. They liked their next character more." Doug Roberts says their favorite vampire was Grandpa from the Munsters. Yeah, that's Al Lewis was supposed to be a pretty wild dude. He was supposed to be pretty funny. Anyway, funny Call of Cthulhu side note, or aside, I guess I'll say. I think the craziest thing that happened in my campaigns is my best friend Elliot Miller, his nephew Paul, who's about 2.5 years younger, 3 years younger than us, was part of our group. And he tended to be one of these people who had to have some spotlight shined on him for a while, just about every time we got together and played. But then again, you got to keep in mind, we played huge, long sessions that were days in length sometimes, where we took breaks, go run out, get something to eat, came back, crashed out, got back up, and played. That's kind of how we played Mask of Nyarlathotep over the summer it came out. But anyway, he tried to book a train from New York to London, and he paid like an outrageous amount for the ticket, and then the ticket seller did not return with his ticket. And of course, he started shooting up the Union Station or whatever. Of course, so came and took him away and put him in a padded room. So he kept talking about how there were crayons in the room, and he was going to eat those crayons and poison himself. I was like, they're non-toxic. So finally he decides, he's like, "I'm going to jump up in the air." This is almost word for word. "I'm going to jump up in the air and land on my head like a missile, so I could break my neck. It's like, okay, well, you know what? Let's just create a new character. Perkins says, yeah, high school game starting Friday night, finishing Sunday afternoon. Those days are long gone. Yes, they are unfortunately long gone. Let's move on to the final news piece because now available in PDF and for pre order in hardcover for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is the Imperial Zoo. Here's the latest from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Frau Vera Wanicki, it is with great pleasure that I write to inform you that I have at last received funding to commission the expeditions of which we lately spoke. Indeed, I expect that our patron should extend his largesse to pay for not one, but 3 trips, 3, into the wild places of the Empire and beyond in pursuit of knowledge. I trust those individuals you spoke of are available and they should be just as competent as you promised. I mean, no mere foray into the hinterlands to be back in time for supper in the university. These shall be true explorations of the deepest depths there are, for only the most impressive specimens could hope to excite those jaded academics of the Imperial Zoo. The Imperial Zoo is a bestiary and travel log of 3 daring expeditions into the old world, ranging from the heights of Carrick Cadrine to the city of Merignal in the southern land of Tilia. It includes profiles of over 60 unique creatures, beasts, and monsters of the old world, perfect to challenge even the most competent of adventurers. Also included are 6 new pre-generated characters, each with their own skills, talents, and shady past. Perfect to pick up and dive into a campaign focused on the truly mammoth threats that stalk the old world. The Imperial Zoo includes a thrilling narrative following the exploits of a group of adventurers as they make their way across the old world in search of knowledge and less savory glories. Dozens of creatures, including unique named beasts that threaten any who cross their paths. From the unusual but lethal Praeton to the devastating dragon Caladir, the Scythe of Fire. New creature traits to ensure every group finds a challenge in these pages. Rules for preserving and selling alchemical ingredients harvested from creatures, especially those touched by the winds of magic. A quick reference chart of creature traits to keep gameplay flowing during combat. 6 pre-generated characters giving you everything you need to kick off your adventures right away. The Imperial Zoo is a novel mix of bestiary and narrative, packed with ideas and in-character commentary that illustrates how horrors such as arachnaroks, chimeras, and cockatrice are viewed by the denizens of the old world. It is ideal to drop into any ongoing campaign that could use some fresh encounters, or as a starting point for a group interested in tackling the horrendous beasts of the old world for profit. You can pre-order the 136-page hardcover for $39.99, or pre-order the collector's edition for $79.99, both including PDFs. Or you can grab the PDF right now over at Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. Looks pretty cool, but gotta say it. I can't let Cubicle 7 off the hook if I talk about other companies charging too much for their books. Even though I'm pals with the fine folks over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment, and obviously enough, they send along review copies of stuff. 136 pages, $40? Ouch! Ow! Collector's edition for $80? Ow! PDF, $20? Ow! That's my wallet crying out. That said, the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay stuff is usually really good. I mean, you'll get use out of it. But yeah, it's just a little pricey, and I get it. I understand. Games Workshop needs to get their nut out of this as well. I understand. still just a little pricey here. Callahan says, oh, wait, let's go back. Perkins says their dungeon master fell asleep at 2 a.m. They just rolled up new characters and started a new game with another dungeon master. Perkins also points out that the Warhammer Fantasy roleplay artwork is pretty cool. Yeah, it is. It is pretty nice. Although the artist who does this cover, I'm not a big fan. I just don't like how he presents people. They look weird and creepy. He does a lot of Warhammer Fantasy roleplay stuff, and he does a lot of Call of Cthulhu stuff, although I haven't seen him doing a lot of Call of Cthulhu stuff lately. I mean, I've seen a lot of his artwork is very nice. Some of his like just human characters or humanoid characters just look weird. Their faces look too rubbery. So, Perkins says Cubicle 7 Games is a new site for them. Yeah, that's been their web address for a few years now. It used to just be cubicle7.com, if I remember correctly. So Callahan says they like having best series and monster manual adjacent books, even for game systems they're not running. You are not alone. A lot of people do that. And of course, we got new monsters. So what's better than new monsters to unleash on your players who have sat there and gone out and bought all the other monster books? So yeah. All right, that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget that the Gaming Gang is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, what have you, feel free to stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you visit thegaminggang.com all the time, if you essentially like what we do, you can always buy me a cup of coffee or some soda by going over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And a big thanks to the Madman for making a very kind donation today. Much appreciated. Thank you. And luckily enough, people are out there who use the banner ads and or visit paypal.me and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Very appreciated. Thank you kindly. So we're going to be jumping on into the last 100 yards in just a couple of moments. Did want to mention that if you missed last night's show and you're an RPG fan, you kind of missed out because I did a giveaway and it wasn't like any sort of raffle or trivia or anything like that. If you were watching live and you jumped in to shoot me an email within an hour after the stream ended, you got a PDF of a selection of role-playing games that you could choose from. I only had one copy of Haunted West to give out, but everything else was, if you wanted it, you got it. So, all in all, there were 17 RPGs that were delivered today. So, thank you for watching. Thanks for taking part in the 750th live show last night. Definitely appreciate it. And those of you who got role-playing games, enjoy. Because there were some goodies in there. We had kind of every genre. Well, not every genre. We had most of the genres covered in it. The only thing I really didn't have was anything that was horror. Sorry. Just didn't. But the most requested game outside of Haunted West, which I only had a copy, and I said, okay, first come, first serve. Whoever hits me up first gets it. But the most popular request was for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Of course, we were taking a look at a Starfinder book last night. But yeah, that was it was close. I mean, there were multiple, like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay was another, Twilight 2000, that was another as well. So yeah, I was a little surprised because it was for the beginners box PDF is what that was. But I was kind of surprised because it was probably the oldest of the role playing games that were available off the top of my head. So Coco B is popping on in, hanging out. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you once again. So we're gonna dive in to the unboxing in just a moment, but first, a short intermission.
What is it?
Buttercup popcorn. I just get a kick out of sharing those. Don't worry, there are plenty more on the horizon. Just about 92 is with us in chat. We got a nice chat going tonight. Very nice. So today I am going to be unboxing and taking a first look at the last 100 yards, the Solomon Islands from GMT Games. Designed by Mike Denson with artwork and graphic design provided by Liz Stepanoff, Charles Kibler, Rick Reinesch, and Darius. Oh, this is going to be awful. I'm going to butcher this so bad. Burachowski? Ooh. Sorry, Darius. Game is for 2 players, 1 or 2 actually. There's a way to play it solitaire. Ages 14 and up, plays in 2 or more hours, depending on what scenario you're going to play. It's available right now. It does carry an MSRP of $60. There's discussion about popcorn, nutritious with all that butter. Of course. We'll talk about something after we do a first look here about what I kind of chuckle at with these like drive-in intermission little shorts that I've been sharing. But let's jump on in to take a peek at the last 100 yards. This is volume 3 in the last 100 yards series. This is the first that has actually tackled the Pacific Theater. So I am really looking forward to that because let's be honest, we don't see as much wargame coverage of the Pacific War as we do, of course, in Europe. The war in Europe. And the Solomon Islands is also a campaign that you don't see a whole lot. Usually when you see like the Pacific Theater, there's always a naval element that plays a huge part in the proceedings. That's not going to be the case here. I am 99% positive of that. Russell Higgins has joined us in chat. Good to see you, Russell. So I'm not going to read everything on the back here, but just give you a little bit of an idea. Last 100 Yards introduces innovative systems intended to model small unit behavior in combat during World War II. The game is purposely designed to deliver a brisk yet intensive gaming experience that forces many decisions upon you as you take command of an infantry company in the Pacific Theater. The Last 100 Yards, Volume 3, The Solomon Islands, is the third game in the last 100-yard series and makes the LHY system, takes the LHY system into the jungles of the Pacific Island campaigns. New rules bring the Japanese fighting unit into the LHY with their unique fighting style and traits, as well as new weapons and terrain, including flamethrowers, anti-tank half-tracks, light and heavy jungle. All right, let's jump on in. Perkins is asking, are those geomorphology maps hexed? Yes, these are going to be hexed maps. Let's dive on in. One thing I will mention, this seems to be a bit lighter than the other two volumes in the last 100-yard series. Don't necessarily quote me on that. I am not positive. It just seems a little bit. So we have version 2 of the rules, and then we're going to go into our playbook. Let's take a look at the rules first. Jump on in here. If you are a fan of Squad Leader, Advanced Squad Leader, whichever, you might be interested in checking out the last 100 yards. It is similar in scale. It's a Platoon and Company scale, and not as crunchy rules wise, but I gotta admit, I like the system. I think the system is pretty good. You use a 10-sided die for resolution. It's not a 6-sided die, so you've got a little more of a swing there. All right, so just taking a look through the rules here. Gotta admit, not a ton of images in this rules presentation here. But of course, we do have a playbook, so we're going to get scenarios, and we're also going to get some designer notes, no doubt, and an extended example of play is my guess. This is rather crunchy. I know that we usually don't use the term crunch when we're talking about board games and war games and things like that. It is a bit more rules heavy than, say, an introductory sort of Platoon or Company level war game, but it's not overwhelming. It's certainly not an overwhelming system to wrap your head around. So there we go. Just taking a look through the rules here. What are we going to wrap up with? John Vogel says the playbook's the same as version 1. Perkins says Advanced Squad Leader is a cool game. They have virtual tabletops out for these types of games now. Used to be able to check out a lot of these games with Vassal, with the Vassal system. I never really did. So we get the vehicle maneuver matrix, a unit capability table, a mission form. So I don't remember mission forms before. So this is for Europe. And then this is for the Pacific. That's cool. And then we got our game credits. So that is the rule book. In reality, we've got, I know we had some optional rules, right? 30 pages. 30 pages of rules. So there's a little discussion about Squad Leader. I played original Squad Leader from Avalon Hill, and I liked it. I got to be honest, I don't think I ever really played Advanced Squad Leader. I may have played it once. And I've got, no problem with multi-man publishing or anything like that. To me, Squad Leader is just too dense. I'm not a person who has that kind of time anymore. And unfortunately, that is the case with a lot of war games. But yeah, I joke around from time to time about when we played The Longest Day from Avalon Hill, which was massive. That was a huge game. And I remember we all kicked in to get it. I want to say think it was my friend Scott Weigel, who from time to time pops into chat, who bought it, and it was like $100 game, which nowadays that game would probably be like $250 because that box was huge. I always kid around. It was the longest day of gaming. Tried to play it. Right. So here we've got the rules examples. Yes. Nice. We've got terrain, different elevations, anti-tank fire, rural buildings, discussion of platoon activation. I know I say it all the time when I'm sharing GMT first looks, but I always read the playbooks first. I find it just makes learning the game easier than just diving into the rule book first. So Perkins says they played Advanced Squad Leader solo. Mainly, none of his friends had the patience for the complexity. Yeah, I would probably be one of them. Yes, Russell points out Third Reich. Yes, the rise and fall of the Third Reich board game. Russell says that's a long day of gaming. It certainly is, and it is not a pleasant looking game either. It's a good game, especially if you use the optional events in it. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's kind of a slog as well. Madman says they don't have a ton of time to learn rules, so they just make up their own. No, I'm kidding. If it's easy to pick up, they're much more likely to purchase. I get it. Once again, the last 100 yards is not a difficult system to grasp. It really is. It's just a bit complex, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But at least we'll find out here, because I'm pretty sure we're going to have our scenario cards. If I remember correctly, the first volume kind of like took an approach like a lot of games have done, and they kind of introduce like the basics, and then they build on that through some of the early scenarios. So here we've got, this is an extended example of play showing some turns with armor. So here we got our designer notes. What are we doing here? The time lapse system, that's something I find pretty cool. Fire mechanics, armor, mortars, platoon leaders, elite versus regular units, the Imperial Japanese Army, as well as tactics. So we've got a pretty detailed example of play here, and pretty detailed designer notes as well. Russell Higgins says, yeah, well, F the rules. I'm just here for the beer and all the women wargaming attracts. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I had to laugh when I would go to Consim World Expo, which is in Tempe, Arizona, back when I lived in Arizona. Born and raised in Chicago, but I lived out in Arizona for about 10 years. And I used to crack up because now I'm 54. And I've been back in the Midwest 7, 8 years. But I was always the youngest person walking in the door, unless somebody had brought their kids with. But yeah, I was like, wow. And, we talk about it all the time, the graying of the hobby. And we get new gamers picking up war games from time to time, but there's more like leaving the hobby. Some of them leaving the face of the planet, than who are joining in, which is too bad. And part of it is because some of these rule systems are just so dense and not easy to pick up. So here is our tracks for the game. So we've got our time tracker, casualty tracker, sequence of place. This is kind of a player aid as well as our tracker here. Then we've got our missions. And we have lots of missions, I'm going to guess. And we've got a bunch of counter sheets here. Here are those maps we're going to take a look at as well. We'll get a little closer look here. And they are paper. They are not mounted, but they are thick and they are treated. So it's not your typical paper maps. So we're going to take a look at those as well. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we have 10-sided die resolution as well. All right, let's look at the counters. As I mentioned, we've got quite a few counter sheets here. So the Madman says they have 3 gaming groups, 2 of which they run. And with prep time, family, and a mile-long to-do list, time is in short supply. Yeah. This about 92 says they can't replace our numbers fast enough. I have to also mention that wargamers, and I'm not trying to paint wargamers with just one brush, but I have found that wargamers tend to be some of the pickiest and crankiest commenters on YouTube. We were just, I opened the show talking a little bit about commenters on YouTube, and wargamers tend to not give anybody a break. Now, I don't know if they treat the guys over at the Players Aid the same way. I have no idea. Pretty cool. Counters here. Nice illustrations on them as well. One thing that some folks won't like is the side view for the vehicles and the armor. I got to be honest, I probably would have preferred a top-down view as well. There we go. So those were so we've got Marines and we've got Army. And then, of course, we have the Japanese. So showing these off for you. So there is step reduction as far as the units when they take casualties. Doug Roberts says, hey, I'm a wargamer, and I'm not like that. Am I? Like I said, not everybody's like, it's just, I tend to find that wargamers commenting on videos have a higher percentage chance of being cranky and criticizing something than regular board gamers and role players. I think the nicest folks comment wise on average on my channel, I can't speak for anybody else, are people who play role-playing games. And I do get comments like, oh, I can't believe you mispronounced blah blah's name. And it's like, sorry, you realize this is not a Dungeons and Dragons channel, right? I don't sit there studying Dungeons and Dragons every day. Okay, so here we've got our missions. And these missions look like they're picking up from the other volumes. So we've got mission 33, The Outpost. 34, The Lost Patrol. 35, The Ambush. As well as Galloping Horse Ridge. Says January 13th, 1943, the soldiers of the U.S. Army's 25th Infantry Division prepared for their 3rd day of fighting on Galloping Horse Ridge, where their objective was to take the final hill and thereby further the American advance to secure the island. Brought in to relieve the beleaguered Marines on Guadalcanal, the infantrymen of the 25th would continue the hard-pressed fight against the Japanese. So I guess this is a Guadalcanal scenario. We've got the raid. And of course, you'll see this is giving us our setup our order of battle, essentially, how your maps are going to be set up as well. Expanding the perimeter, the plantation, mission 39, Edson's Ridge. Ah, we get some armor in the action here. And then, as you can see, these missions got bigger as we were going through. So the outpost, we weren't even using the entire map board on here. And as you can see, pretty small order of battle there. So those are the missions. Now we've got a couple of player aids with everything you're going to need to jump on in. Small arms fire, anti-tank, terrain effects, stacking limitations, concealment, and our assault resolution, and more. So there you go. Russell Higgins says, when they were a kid, they studied D&D and avoided those basic players like the plague. Yeah, it's our running gag. All right, so we've got those. Once again, as I mentioned, we got those 4 10-sided dice down there. So here are the maps. You can see the hexes are pretty large. I wonder how many we've got here. I'm going to take a guess. We got 5, and they're dual-sided. There we go. Little village there. Like a little coastal area here. So that's 3. Oh, okay. I was wrong. There's 8 total. Russell points out the counters are fairly large as well. Said inch and a quarter, they think. Actually, I think they're closer to an inch. We'll take a look. We'll go back. So here are the maps. They don't seem to be as thick and chunky as the counters that we see in some of the Flying Pig Games releases. So, okay, so here's the funny thing I always do. They always say from here to here is about an inch. So we're looking at looks like about 3/4 of an inch on these. But still, that's a good size. That's a good chunky size counter as well. Not like some of the counters that you see that are just really, really tiny. I mean, like smaller than these. They're cut really, really small. Doug Roberts says, looks like the maps could be used for a Vietnam game. Yeah, they actually do, don't they? All right. So we have our 4 10-sided dice, 4 dual-sided maps. How many missions we got? 8? 8 missions, 10 missions. So we got 5 mission sheets, dual-sided with that. We've got 2 player aids. We have 4.5 counter sheets. We got our tracker, our playbook, and our rules of play version 2. That's what we find when we take everything from The Last 100 Yards, Volume 3, The Solomon Islands, outside the box. Hopefully, I will have an opportunity to review this at some time in the future. Madman's pointing out they always are interested in games that include battles that his great uncle fought in. Guadalcanal caught his ear. I know the Madman's mentioned that before, that his great uncle had took part in the fighting in the Pacific Theater. So, pretty wild. All right, swing on over to the other camera. So before I wrap up, I kind of mentioned in passing, something that I kind of chuckle at when I see these drive-in intermission clips that I've been sharing. And that is that the portions of everything are like way smaller than you would see portions of today. Now, the popcorn one that we saw, the buttercup popcorn, there was a bucket, but most of the sizes they were showing were like a cup of popcorn. Just like, and you'll notice this as we take a look at more of these. I'm a goofball. I just like to share oddball stuff. Doesn't always have to be gaming, just the vast majority of gaming. But like the cups, like when they show like going to the refreshment stand, the cups are like coffee cup size cups for soda. You would never see something like that. Just like I have run into places, I'm trying to remember when the last time I encountered this. But I know those of you out there watching, most of you have encountered this as well, where you'd be someplace and they would have like a coffee machine. They'll sometimes have a soda machine that actually pours the soda into a small cup. A lot of times those cups have like a hand of cards on them. Yeah, that would never fly these days. Never. But I find that kind of funny how much smaller the portions are. And I know a lot of people are always like, oh, why are Americans so less healthy and fatter now in this generation, these generations, than they were in the past? And that's one of the reasons, is our portions are massive. And I need to lose weight too. I'm not saying anything, but it's that's one of the big things. It's one of the big deals. So Madman's talking about where his great uncle fought. Quite quite a resume there. Came home with 2 Purple Hearts. Wow. All right. So that is it for this time out. On Monday's show, we are going to take a look at Origin's first builders from Board and Dice. This just arrived the other day. We're going to dive on into this. Looks like there's quite a bit going on in this game. I really don't know much about it. In fact, I haven't even read the box. I just brought it down into the Duct Tape Studios. So we are going to take a look at this on Monday. One thing that I do see, for the most part, the games from Board and Dice tend to be pretty meaty. They have a bit to it. So Perkins says 48-ounce soda, anyone? Just 48 ounces? That's barely going to quench my thirst as I take a sip of soda. Yes. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do, ding that bell. It will not only let you know when the dispatch airs live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube, but it'll also inform you when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming first look at Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Uber's Reich Adventures Volume 2 from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. You may have noticed that the audio might have sounded a little bit different tonight. So if you did notice a difference, let me know in the comments if you liked it or not. Dropped the treble a little bit, boosted the bass a little bit. Because sometimes when I listen to, and I very rarely do, but when I listen to the videos like on YouTube that I've uploaded or streamed, sometimes my voice sounds higher than it is. So fingers crossed on that. The image might be a little bit different too, depending on the size of the screen you're watching on. I'm kicking around getting another camera. I know I really can't afford it, but it's like I'm always looking to try to shake things up a little bit. So I'm at least gonna get a new lens. I think maybe. So I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Those of you who watch live, thank you very much. Bonus points if you were taking part in chat as well as watching live. Of course, I know a lot of people don't have an opportunity to watch the streams live. Doesn't matter how you watch any of the videos on the channel, be it live or on Memorex. I really do appreciate each and every one of you taking time out of your busy lives to sit and check out some of the videos. Always, always appreciate that. I will be back on Monday. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week as well as the upcoming weekend. And as always, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. See you Monday. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.